I don't know. Everyone else is the mic all muffled? Do I sound muffled? Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. So first of all, I guess we should take a look at Nasdaq. Uh, things are flying. Things are absolutely flying right now. Um, we haven't really broken out to the upside yet, um, but if we can keep this momentum, we are kind of on the verge of it. CPI must have come out pretty okay. Bank earnings came out very good. We kind of expected that they would with all of the volatility and the massive climb that happened here in Q2. Um, so they did pretty well. CPI, core CPI came in at 0%. Core CPI year over year is 2.6. Wow. Wow. This is actually like really good inflation data. I mean, it's not like, the best thing in the world, but it's a lot better than expected. It's a lot better than expected. So, yeah, that's actually pretty serious. I see why everyone's so excited about this. I will preface all this by saying that it doesn't necessarily take us out of the woods yet, right? Like it doesn't take us out of the woods yet. So, first and foremost, let's go ahead and talk about bank earnings. So, Citigroup posted 7% growth and a 15.8% surprise on earnings. Goldman Sachs, and if you'll remember, I said that I think that Goldman Sachs is going to do the best out of all of them with a 45% surprise on their earnings, notching 22.9% growth. The revenue estimate was 16.49 billion. The reported revenue was 38.43. So far and away, the biggest winner of this morning has been Goldman Sachs. Damn, kind of almost wish that I took that trade, but it's okay. It's okay. I could take solace in the fact that we read the situation correctly and we did call out that these banks were going to do really fucking well, particularly Goldman Sachs. JP Morgan Chase with a 9.8% surprise. Earnings is their earnings was a 6.14 over the estimate of 5.59, and they notched a total of 17.9% growth. Bank of America, 7.1% surprise, 5.8% growth. Wells Fargo, 13.3% surprise on earnings, 10.4% growth. So all five of these banks posted record profits. All five of these banks posted record profits. Incredible. Fastenal, which Fastenal is like in industrial supplies, basically, like they have a lot of construction supplies, right? Something that like you have a lot of carpenters that use Fastenal, a lot of plumbers, and there's some electrical supplies there. So basically, like industrial, supplies, right? Um, their earnings did not beat their earnings per share, but they did show revenue growth of 14.7% above the estimate. So, or pardon me, 14.7% revenue growth, and they ended up beating the estimate by what would that be? 5 million. So, pretty solid, pretty solid earnings there. That's actually 50 million. Pardon me. So things are looking pretty good. I mean, as it turns out, the economy seems to be chugging along, and that's producing a pretty big green candle. Yeah, and to be honest with you, I think that they are very real numbers. I think that they are very real numbers, radio. Like it's not surprising. It shouldn't be surprising to us that the banks all did very well from this point, right? From this candle on. Like they probably, the majority of their profits probably came from this run, and then they got a little bit more during all of this consolidation and volatility, right? But for the most part, I think those profits probably came from this big historic run and just being long on good quality assets. Because despite like the red days that we've been having, um, and all of this kind of chop and sitting in the range that we've been in, like we have to realize that that prices are still extremely elevated. I mean, if you go back, 3 months, like this is so much higher than it was, right? All the indices, a lot of the stocks, right, are a lot higher than they were 3 months ago, you know. So things have been going up. They've been kind of sitting sideways for about a month and a half now, but they have largely just been going up. Um, you know, when we're looking at it a longer time frame. So that's kind of why, when we're talking about like swing trading, right? That's why I've been talking about how I think that this is a big buying opportunity on tech, and that I'm like very unconcerned, right? I'm very unconcerned about just kind of like these day-to-day movements. Like this isn't anything abnormal, if anything, this is you know way more comfortable than this 3 month stretch of doing absolutely nothing was, right? And we just ended up getting some really good CPI data. Now we're not out of the woods yet, right? We haven't broken out to the upside. And Kevin Warsh is going to be testifying to Congress today. So uh, when it comes to that testimony, basically the way that that generally works is that the Fed chair will have a series of prepared remarks ahead of time. After those prepared remarks, there is like basically a Q&A session, right? Where members of Congress will ask him specific questions. Now, these questions are not scripted, okay? Whereas the initial statement, right, that's scripted, right? That's written out by the Fed chair, and his office. But this Q&A session uh, is not scripted. And every once in a while, I'm not saying that it's going to happen. I'm not saying it happens every time. I'm not even saying that it happens most times. But every once in a while, there will be a question asked where, the answer is just crazy. Um, you know, whether that's something that's super good or something that's super bad, whatever the case is. Um, and it can cause some volatility in the markets just by listening to the Fed chair testify. Um, so, it's interesting because we have been, I say we, not we, right? Social media has been talking about how, oh, well, he's going to come out hawkish and this and that. And I still feel like they probably should feel a little bit hawkish right now. But with the inflation data coming in, uh, with such good numbers, right? With us beating the expectations on inflation, I don't really see that as a possibility. I don't see that he is going to come out and be hawkish in any way. Now, if he was hawkish in any way, what you would see is probably small caps bleed out. You would see tech bleed a little bit, particularly the small caps, and you would see the U.S. dollar strengthen. But again, I don't think that that's going to happen, right? I think if anything, he's going to be pretty neutral today. So I'm not expecting anything super crazy, but you never know, right? So it at least makes sense to be aware of the potential, right? The potential for volatility, the potential for something to happen, something crazy to happen. Welcome, exclamation point. I don't know what else to call you, but welcome back. So love to have you. Love to have you. Um, so let's go ahead and take a look at this on a smaller time frame. So number one, we can appreciate the structure, right? Where we had this kind of deep low accumulation. It came up, we consolidated right at this point of right basically on this liquidity level, using it as support. And then we had an absolute launch. We came and back tested this liquidity level at 469, came up. We had a rejection here, and now we're just kind of middling, right? We're just sitting in between these two major liquidity levels that we've seen act as support and resistance in the past. So, pretty interesting, pretty interesting. ADXDI is telling us that this is a very strong uptrend that's beginning on the 15-minute chart. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. Again, what I would really want to see is I would really want to see us break out to the upside before getting too excited. But certainly there is a little bit to be excited about today, and things are looking pretty okay. We are also seeing tech get a little bit of love. That is being dampened a little bit by it's being dampened a little bit by IBM. They reduced their guidance, and the reason that they reduced their guidance is because they're going to be doing a shit ton of spending, which is again the big concern around AI in general is that all of the spending is not bearing fruit, right? It's not generating a return on investment, and that's something that's kind of panicking a lot of people, especially when we're talking about the indices. Like what you have to realize is that Nasdaq and the S&P 500 both are extremely heavy weighted on tech, particularly anything AI related. So whether that's semiconductors, whether that's the software behind them, uh, whether it's the actual uh, like users of it, right, that are creating these things. For instance, like Palantir, right? This is the largest sector by far. It is the highest weighted sector in these indices, and it absolutely drags everything around with it. Okay, so we are seeing like some jitters from IBM doing all that spending. Does it work out in the end? I don't know. I can't tell the future years from now. I think it will. I think it will in the long run. But in the short term, you got some people that are kind of panicking. Now, we also had a really interesting development last night where Trump basically went to Congress and said, "Hey, we're starting a new war in Iran." And I know what you're thinking, right? Oh, well, like the original war hasn't ended. That's correct. But what you need to also realize is that the president can basically take military action without congressional approval for 60 days. After that 60 days, he needs congressional approval to be able to spend more and to continue on the war effort. So basically, their argument is that they said they're basically saying that the ceasefire was the end of the war, and now that the ceasefire is broken, that there's a new war. And what I would impress upon you is that this is incredibly convenient timing that all of this would end right on that 60-day mark, right? So uh, it's the same war, right? It's not a different one, but that's the way that it's being spun. Okay, that's the way it's being spun, so that way Congress doesn't have to approve anything, and Trump can just do what he wants. So that's happening right now, and that is generating like a little bit of fear in the markets, especially as things in the Strait of Hormuz continue to kick up. Oil, for instance, is absolutely flying as a result of this. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at oil. Natural gas has also been doing really well. But if we take a look at oil on the daily chart, we could see that there's a very clear breakout happening. So it's funny because last week we were talking when this was down here, we were talking about how like, oh man, like the oil concerns seem to be gone, and it makes literally no sense, right? And that we expected them to climb up, and here we are, right, kind of breaking out of this structure and looking to secure a larger breakout right here on the daily time frame. So oil is something that we should all be keeping an eye on. You can either trade the crude futures, like light crude, right? Or you can, if you're looking for stocks and options. You can look at USO is a big one. Chevron and XOM, so that'd be CVX and ticker XOM. XOM is ExxonMobil. So these are two of the largest oil manufacturers in the world, and or not manufacturers, rather, drillers and refiners, right? So yeah, that's doing really good. Um, Gold, silver, doing pretty okay. Haven't really broken out yet. They're still largely like, we could just call this consolidation because that's exactly what's happening. Um, Copper is one that I have really been tracking. And to be honest with you, when we were back here, I was expecting a breakout and for us to climb up towards like 7. But that didn't materialize the way that I was thinking it would. So I ended up just not taking a trade. But I'm hoping that gold and silver, if they can do well over the next day or two, can set copper up in a place where it can launch up into the 7s. Because there'd be a lot of gains that we could get from trading this commodity. Um, so, just kind of keeping an eye on that. Uh, on the equity side of things, SLS sitting right here at the bottom of this range, like literally kind of breaking under the range, to be honest with you. It's like it has a 5 cent bounce in a 5 cent bounce in pre-market. It's not looking super, super promising at the moment. We were talking about how there is a lot of potential for this thing to come back down towards 12 and just kind of settle and consolidate here, which I would totally be okay with. I would also be okay if it came up into this range, right? This is a longer term hold for me. It's something that I myself and a lot of our subscribers got into super, super early. Shout out to the Warriors. Great job on this one. So I am just kind of patiently waiting and sitting to see what happens next here. BlackBerry getting the tiniest little bit of love. It's only up 2% in pre-market. So we're not really getting a lot of the, I guess, kind of like sympathy from NASDAQ running quite yet. BlackBerry does trade notoriously thin in pre-market and after hours. So we're just gonna have to wait and see if this can get some love, or if IBM cutting their guidance due to heavy spending is going to impact it, right? Because this is the software side of things, and software in general has been getting hit really, really hard. Um, in particular with all the concerns with tech. So next up, we should talk about Reddit. Reddit is just continuing to consolidate right here near our first price target. Um, the subscribers to this room, we did enter at 135, and we're just kind of holding on from here. I think that there's a really realistic path where this thing can do like a 3 to 5x over the next few years. So, very excited here. We are still waiting for the deals to come through with the LLMs, and for Steve Huffman, the CEO, and the management team to secure these contracts with Anthropic and OpenAI, et cetera, to be able to um, you know end up generating more money, right? Generating more revenue off of it. So just kind of waiting on some news here. They have earnings in just over 2 weeks, so yeah, we're starting to get pretty close. As far as that earnings in 2 weeks, I'm expecting another double beat. Again, as I've said a million times, I think that that people have historically really, really bet against Reddit, and it's one of the most misunderstood stocks in the stock market right now. So I'm just gonna kind of watch that. Nasdaq starting to give back some of those gains, get a little bit of a drawdown. Um, so just kind of waiting on that, see what happens. We don't really trade pre-market here. Um, what's up next? We could talk about Robinhood. So Robinhood is also just consolidating at this higher range, seeing as though we did enter in the mid 70s. So like I think it was about 77 is where we entered. All things considered, they're looking really good. Um, We're sitting in $120 calls for January, as well as some shares. Um, the $120 calls for January we picked up quite some time ago, and they're a hell of a lot more expensive than they were. So, uh, probably a little bit riskier to enter here on those calls, but I think that shares are still a good buy, and I think that this is something that we can hold for. Honestly, you could hold Robinhood for years and probably do very, very well. They've done a really good job of attracting Gen Z. And it's funny because, you have a lot of Wall Street that thinks about, when they're thinking about Gen Z, they kind of think about like, what they thought about millennials in my generation, where it's like, oh, well, it's just a bunch of kids, like they don't have money. Sure, they don't have money yet, but they're getting money. And in 10 or 15 years, Gen Z is going to have fucking money. So securing them as a customer now, okay, Gen Z, securing this younger generation as a customer now, fostering that relationship, becoming, part of their everyday lives now is what matters. If you want them to be a customer in 20 years, you need to attract them now. And I think that Robinhood in particular has been doing a really good job of that. Um, so, very excited for that. They have earnings in just about 2 weeks. Again, we are in earnings season, so we are going to have some big moves coming up, and a lot of really interesting things happening. Right. So Fermi, let's talk about Fermi. Fermi is just continuing to bleed out a little bit in pre-market. It's really interesting. So I was talking to one of my friends that runs a fund yesterday. We were talking about Fermi specifically, and you know we we both have kind of come to this conclusion that Fermi and their Matador project, which is this massive campus that they're opening up in the Texas Panhandle, and it's basically going to be like a self-sufficient AI data center campus that these big firms can lease out for compute power, essentially. And they're going to have their own private power grid, right? They're literally setting up basically like a, I don't want to call it like a city, right? But it's like a little town, right? That's specifically just AI, the power source for it, and it's sitting on one of the largest aquifers, in the nation. In addition to that, they also have the second largest air pollution permit in the country, and they haven't even started like really constructing anything yet. So I'm expecting tenant news to land soon, and that tenant news should help subsidize the construction, which should be beginning very, very shortly here. So I think that this is a screaming buy. And I say that as I'm bagged on it, right? Like I was actually a decent bit red. I'm less red now, but the only reason is because I bought a shit ton more between Friday and yesterday, right? I've literally tripled my position here because I'm feeling very, very confident in this. You know, I just need things to happen before January, and I am pretty sure that they're going to, especially because we've already seen all of the conflicts of interest that exist, and that Rick Perry, who is one of the largest shareholders and who sits on the board of directors for this, um, Rick Perry has not exactly been shy about contacting the right people and pulling the right strings to get things approved in a very, very expeditious manner, right? So Fermi looking really, really good. Um, yeah, so I'm not uh what are you talking about? How the calls are going to go in the meantime? Which which calls, Garrick? For me, so I'm not really concerned about them because I ended up just buying a bunch more, right? Like I still think that that the thesis is correct. Like nothing's changed just because they did a little offering, right? Now the one that has been giving me a little bit concern is Soundhound, and while I'm not like afraid here, just because again the position sizing is small, I am starting to get a little bit wary of it. Um, I think that this is a really solid business. I think the acquisition that they've done is really good. I think it's sitting at like a deep bargain here. But we only went out to August, did the August monthly calls. So that is something where maybe we should have gone a little bit further out in time, and that might be the case where we have to roll them or begin to kind of move those positions out. So they have earnings in just over 3 weeks, and you know, I I I think that this is just a really interesting situation because the options chain is just so stacked, and it is leaning very, very bullish directionally, right? Like the calls outweigh the puts by far, right? There's a lot more calls than puts here, so the call to put ratio is quite high, and the short interest, it hasn't gone down. Like, it's actually increased. So during this time here, the short interest has increased, and this is now one of the most shorted stocks on the market. And I think that it's really solid, right? I think that it's really solid. I think that it's just a matter of like how long does it take, really? That's what we're trying to measure here is how long does this take? Um, Now, Anna, this is a position that we took on Friday. Um, Friday? No, Thursday, I think. I think we took it on Thursday. No, it was definitely Friday. It was definitely Friday. I'm sorry. I fucking, it's all the same, right? It's all the same shit. It's all the same days. They all end in Y. So we ended up taking a position here on Friday, and we have seen that position grow. Now, the only the only thing that I could see potentially like stopping this in the immediate term would be just like a lack of awareness, right? If people are not aware that this exists, um, I don't think that we are going to have a ceasefire with Iran anytime soon. This plays really, really well off of the Strait of Hormuz closure, particularly because there is a lot of liquefied natural gas that comes out of the Middle East. And while it goes all around the world, right, a lot of it goes to Europe, and Europe is reliant on it, especially as the Russian natural gas is something that they no longer purchase. So having domestic um, domestic energy uh, sources is really important. I think that European energy independence is one of the biggest things that they should be looking at, and I think it's one of the biggest things that they are looking to do. So this is an Italian liquefied natural gas play, um, and I think that kind of speaks for itself, right? So this is something where the first time that we traded this, the first time that we traded this was right around when the war was beginning, right? It was right around when the war was beginning. We started kind of buying into it in late February, and then ended up buying a shit ton in March. And well, you see what happened after that, right? It shot all the way up to a high of 1067. We got out at about 8 or so, and watched it kind of go up a little bit more without us, and then tumble down as like all of the peace talks happened. So there was this big squeeze, and there are still a decent bit of shorts that have entered in. Actually, like on the backside of that squeeze, this thing got shorted right back down. So short interest is elevated here. And the cost to borrow is extremely expensive, right? So short sellers are paying through the nose just to hold the short position. That is creating a very interesting situation where there really isn't that much supply here. So buys from retail are hitting the tape, and they're actually moving things. So Anna, it's something we got to watch today. I think that there's a really good shot that it does something pretty crazy. Um, Also, just kind of following up on Meta, because we were talking about Meta yesterday. Meta is absolutely just diving, dumpster firing here. They just announced that they are going to be doing even more spending, which is the entire reason that they dropped like this and like this, right? This was a spending announcement. This was a spending announcement. And then, they kind of get up here and boom, by the way, guys, we're spending more, right? So Meta is forecasting that they're going to spend their entire free cash flow. So that's all of the profits that they make. Um, yeah, that's all of the profits that they make. Pardon me. Um, they're going to be spending everything on expanding that AI infrastructure and opening up data centers, which is incredibly expensive because not only do you have to build it and you have to build it in a certain way, right, with like thermal protections, you have to have access to water, right? You need a really, really stable power grid. You need a really stable power grid to connect to. And then you also have to buy all of the hardware, right? So you have to buy the chips, any kind of photonics equipment to be able to transmit data. I mean, you name it, that you have to buy it, right? So setting up data centers is really expensive, and Meta is making a massive investment, which I think is going to pay off in the long run. But in the short term, right, you could see what's happening. That they're just getting absolutely punished for it. The stock is being hammered, and I think that there's a potential with IBM, you know, also doing this spending. I think that there's a potential that Meta has some really nice short scalps to it today. So something that I definitely want to be watching today is Meta. But we're going to come back to that in just a little bit, right? We'll come back to that in just a little bit. Um, want to go and show you what Goldman Sachs is doing. So Goldman Sachs with a massive beat. They are up 3.83% here in the morning. Um, you know, this is quite a jump for pre-market, especially for something that's large, right? Like this isn't a small company. Their market cap is, $308 billion. Like this is a pretty large, well-established firm. I think, everyone here knows who Goldman Sachs is. So they're doing really well off of that news. JP Morgan is actually selling off. And you might think like, oh, okay, well, they just had record earnings. Why are they selling off? Well, look at what it did prior to earnings, right? This thing climbed up. This thing climbed up. So it's not unrealistic to expect that it might sell off a little bit. This was priced in. Everyone assumed that they would do good. So when they do good and they do beat expectations, beating expectations was almost expected, if that makes sense. So they didn't beat enough to really warrant going higher, at least not right now. Now this isn't like a huge drop, but it's a reasonable drop, right? 1.65%. We'll see if they can get it back in the morning. A Bank of America is getting a tiny, tiny little bit of a bump up in the morning, right? They also had record profits. Wells Fargo, this has already been priced in, right? You can see there's been a crazy climb. So it's not unusual to see it pull back a little bit, very tiny pullback. And then the last one, of course, would be, not London Cocoa Futures. Let's go to Citigroup. Okay, so Citigroup, kind of the same situation, right? Where it has just been climbing and climbing and climbing. So it's fair to say that this was kind of expected. We could see it in the price as the price has been rising going into earnings. That this was in fact expected, right? ND getting a tiny, tiny bit of love here in pre-market. Like I said, there is a lot of concern surrounding tech, but all the financial services are helping lift the indices up. I think that a lot of the tech concerns are going to be alleviated next week, right? I think that next week we're going to be looking back at all of this, and it's going to be it's going to be something where we're going to laugh that we were ever really concerned, right? Because next week we have a good chunk of the Mag 7 that's going to be reporting. Those are all tech firms. So, uh, expecting them to impact software and hardware. And I am expecting them to kind of drag the market around with them. Um, we have a lot going on, right? We have a lot going on. Yeah, so self-made diamonds to cool the servers. I'm not really sure, what that would be and how that works. I know that when they are building these data centers, what they do is they basically build them out of like heavily uh, kind of insulated materials, right? So that way they can kind of like section off what they need to section off and kind of keep the heat like a little bit isolated. They use just a ton of water to cool it, and also they have a really big focus on ventilation, right? So it's uh, it's really interesting the way that they have to build these things, and it costs a lot of money to do, right? It costs a lot of money. It takes a lot of time to get all those materials sourced, especially because these companies are not building them in isolation. Like everybody is looking to buy these things, right? So, uh, when we're looking at it that way, and we can see that there is just this overwhelming demand, right? There's just not enough supply, so it becomes more expensive to do. You take something that's already expensive, and it becomes even more expensive. Um, so, I can understand like why there are some concerns about the spending, right? Um, it hasn't really been proving to be super cost effective to companies yet, while they're spending all of these tokens, right? I have some friends in tech, and I've been hearing kind of reports that some tech companies, the management is using they're basically using the amount of tokens that you use as a performance metric, saying that you need to use X amount of tokens, right? Or else you're basically wasting time. And that's really expensive, right? That's really expensive. So not seeing that return on investment, uh, as a shareholder and as investors and traders, that's something that certainly makes sense that it would be uh, perceived with a little bit of worry, right? A little bit of trepidation. So totally understandable there. Totally understandable. I think that the concerns are a little bit overblown, right? Like if a company is taking out like crazy loans that they can't pay back, like I totally get that. But if you're looking at something like Meta, right, investing their free cash flow for the year, like I mean, fuck, the year's over halfway over already, right? They're going to be investing in this. It is what it is, and I think that they are going to have a huge return on that investment at some point. Whether that's a year or two down the road, who knows? But you know, in the way that companies' leadership is forward looking, markets are also forward looking, and we need to be forward looking as well. We don't need to be blind to the present because we're looking so far into the future, but we do need to be forward looking. Okay. So, yeah, that's kind of what's going on today. Tomorrow we have a few big earnings reports coming out. Um, Nothing like today. Today was just like blockbuster day of it, right? Um, but tomorrow we have AEHR Test Systems. This is a relatively small company, but it is, a decent sized tech firm at least. Um, kind of like sitting in like the defense sector a little bit as well. Uh, and then tomorrow evening, pardon me, what is this? That's tonight. Tomorrow morning is the big one. So tomorrow morning, we have ASML. This is a massive chip manufacturer. It's one of the largest chip manufacturers in the world, expecting them to absolutely crush it. Progressive, again, one of the biggest insurance firms in the world. Really expect them to crush it. Conagra Brands, this is a major food supplier. And then we have BlackRock and Morgan Stanley rounding out financial services. J&J, these guys, Johnson and Johnson, they are not just like medicine, right? Everyone kind of associates Johnson and Johnson with strictly like pharmaceuticals, and this company is actually a lot larger and they do a lot more. But pharmaceuticals are a decent portion of the business, so this is like a just kind of a coverall, and a really good indicator as to consumer spending, to be honest with you. We have financial services also with PNC and M&T Bank and Bank of New York Mellon. So some really, really big names there. Cintas is like industrial supply, um, and like so Cintas has like first aid equipment, right? They do like classes on forklift and scissor lift and aerial lift training. They have like a uniform cleaning service, right? So they're very diversified, but we could call them industrial, right? At their core, they'll come and like refill first aid kits, at a job site. So this is industrial at its core. We have some pretty big ones, including our first really big tech firm reporting tomorrow morning. So expect that to move things around a little bit. We also have United Airlines that's going to be tomorrow evening, and JB Hunt, which is one of the biggest trucking companies in the world, right, is going to be reporting tomorrow. So we're gonna get to see transportation. We're gonna get to see some tech. We're gonna get to see uh, you know the rounding out of financial services, as well as some consumer staples like Conagra and Johnson and Johnson, right? So earnings season, very, very big. You could expect a lot of different news coming out. You could expect a lot of movement, and the leaders generally will dictate where the rest of the sector goes. Everyone kind of follows the leader, right? So if Meta says that they're going to be spending, then everyone kind of extrapolates that into, well, if Meta is doing all this spending, then every other company has to be doing a ton of spending, right? So just be aware of some of those like knock-on effects that may happen. Yeah, yeah, and that's where we are today. So I was thinking that for tomorrow morning in our warrior chat, right, for all the subscribers. Which, by the way, if you're not there, like, get there, okay, get there. But I was thinking tomorrow that I would do a little bit of a lesson on some of the options Greeks. So, um, if that's something you're interested in, be sure that you're there, right? Be sure that you're there, and we're gonna learn a little bit. We're gonna learn a little bit about the options Greeks and how to use them to properly price to properly price things, and figure out like what is a good deal on an option, right? And which option should we take? Why do we choose what we choose? And what are some of the considerations that we make when making that decision? So yeah, that's pretty much what I got for now. Um, and I guess we'll just kind of wait for the market to open up, right? Wait for the market to open up. All right, Icarus, are you here? Are you smelling burnt toast? Are you fucking okay, dude? Any advice on holding when we have high volatility? Yeah, so what I would say is that if the general direction is right and you have time, right? And by time, I don't mean like, oh, well, I have 3 days it can turn around, right? Um, I'm saying like if you have time where it's like a month or two out and you're kind of swing trading options, then I would just hold that shit, man. I would just hold that shit until I saw sellers or buyers, whichever was counter to what I wanted, right? If I see the other side of the trade gaining a ton of traction, that's I would cut them immediately, right? But if I am just scalping, then I'm generally going to have a trailing stop, and it's going to take me out of that position before it ever gets to the point where I'm bleeding out super heavy, right? So it really depends on the time frame. Like there's some context um, that needs to be, you know, given. But what I would say is, in general, if you are purchasing the time, right, and you're buying like twice the amount of time that you think you're going to need, and you're purchasing quality contracts, then it becomes a lot easier to hold through high volatility. For instance, like with Fermi, we've had some insane volatility lately, and it wasn't working. It hasn't been working in our favor, right? So we are red on that, and the reason is because there was an offering, and there was just an absolute ton of short selling that came in with that offering, likely to hedge the convertible notes that were purchased by these institutions. So, um, again, right? Context matters. AOP, like we have to understand, um, the time frame that we're operating in, and if it's longer term, the volatility is really, to be honest, it's welcome, right? Because you get a lot of your value in the longer term options from implied volatility, and implied volatility in the future generally goes up if there's volatility that's being expressed in the market right now, right? So um, context matters, right? Context absolutely matters. If we're talking about intraday, then I would say just use a trailing stop, and as it starts to work in your favor, and it works and works, and it gets better and better and better, and things are going up, your position is increasing in value, then you can always consider tightening that stop up, right? Moving it from maybe like a 20% stop loss down to 15, and realize that if you're playing like low DTE weeklies or something like that, that like those price fluctuations are really, really quick, right? Because gamma gets extremely big, and the delta, being with such a short amount of time left on the lifetime of the contract, the delta begins really, really driving the price very quickly. So there's a chance that you get stopped out, but it is better to be stopped out at a 50% win than to diamond hand shitty contracts and watch it go back down into the red and then sell at a loss, right? So I would always recommend trailing that stop, even though sometimes it's going to feel like shit when it comes down and hits your stop and then goes nuts without you. Whatever. You made money, like you fucking won the game. Be okay with it, right? There's always another trade. There's always another trade. There's always tomorrow. There's always later in the day. So that's what I would say about holding through volatility, right? It's dependent on the situation. So you're going to have to kind of make that judgment call as it happens. Um, okay, well, market's opening in just a few minutes here. I need to go get something to wake up because I am very, very tired at 6:30 in the morning. I've been up since 5. I'm going to pass you guys over to Icarus for just a few.
Goddamn.
I know, dude. That was like a fucking monologue. Okay, okay, okay. I'll be right back.
Yeah, fuck off now.
Fuck off.
Yeah. So coming to US 30, since you just mentioned it, Nitron, yes, US 30 looks absolutely horrible. We had a big ass wick from the CPI, and since then we've been consolidating in a fairly tight channel. We need to see a big push of volume to break above and hold the breakout for real. Otherwise, we will just stay consolidating or even turn bearish. That's my take on that. On Nasdaq, on the other hand, my bias for today is largely still bearish. Yeah, and that's the problem. Like in this market environment, you cannot really expect any major movement simply because we just have this much geopolitical news and bullshit going on. Yeah, that was all the volume accumulated for the CPI, the 7 hours. Gold is kind of wanting to reject off of the volume block up there. It is still largely bearish, considering that the news candle doesn't have any value in it. Dropped a picture in chat for you guys so you can see what I mean. Yeah. So I'll probably wait and if we manage to break out on gold, yeah, then it's cooked. Then we will probably even go higher up to maybe 4,120, something like that, because there's the opening gap which needs to be filled from Monday, and that seems likely to happen. I'm glad he's not here. But yeah, that's it. A minute to open. What do you mean sometime this week for gold? Well, the gap fill depends. Like if it can happen in the next few hours. The CPI was very strong. I mean, gold is up 2% for today. Yo, type 2, what did you want to write? Yeah, that's kind of what I expected here. Very muted open. If the structure breaks on Nasdaq here, then we'll probably sell off to like 29,400 to work off that news candle. Same also goes for US 30. Gold is not getting the strength to break out. That is good. Nasdaq just broke. Want to see a close below.
All right. Well, this is holding up quite well.
Yet.
Right now it is. Right now it is.
Give it like 3 seconds and it'll change.
You're right. That's always the way this works.
Or even better, you're gonna enter.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad that you're rooting. See this guy? I'm like, hey, come be my co-host. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna prey on your downfall. He's like the fucking meme of Anthony Anderson, bro, leaning around the tree, just rubbing his fucking hands, like ready. Only thing you're licking is balls, sir. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Ooh, what the fuck? Is AMD going nuts? Is that what I'm hearing? Do we need to watch AMD right now? Ooh, wow. Yeah, AMD is going nuts. That is quite the fucking gap and candle.
Taking a small short on Nasdaq probably.
Here?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm shorting.
I'm gonna wait just a little bit.
Filled at 540.
I'm gonna wait just a little bit before taking any trades on this. I kind of want to see it settle out a little bit more. I at least want this first 5 minutes to kind of pass. Let's go down to the 1 minute and see what's happening. Yeah, we are getting those wicks to the upside. So that is interesting. Let's see if we can sell off from this value area low and if it continues to act as resistance. Yeah, the CPI came in really, really nicely today. So, things are looking relatively good.
Is it?
I mean, I think so overall. You know, like this is selling off a little bit, but fuck, if this isn't way better than the last few days, then I don't know, man.
No,
AM,
no, you're right. You're right.
AMD is selling off, giving those gains back. Anna is largely flat with virtually no volume.
Make sure
And
you
trying
trail
to
your
climb
stops,
up.
guys.
Yes, absolutely trail your stops, because if you did short with him, then you are in profit and
Stops
at
at
a pretty decent.
500.
Yeah. Yeah, you are in pretty decent profit here. Okay. That first 5 minutes has passed. This is kind of where I want to potentially be watching to take some trades. I just wanted some of that volatility to get kind of expressed early in the morning before we end up going. All right, you guys should be stopped out.
Yes.
You guys should be stopped out of your shorts. So if you're not stopped out, this is probably the time to be taking profits.
You want to be out of that motherfucker.
Get out. Get out.
Why are you bullying me?
Don't yell at me. All right, let's see how this candle shakes out, because this is potentially engulfing the prior candle. We'll have to give it a second to see. Nope.
And they
Nope.
ain't doing shit.
Nope.
You're
Not
just
right
seeing
now.
things.
Not right now.
The
Well,
CPI
this is
was
like
terrible
you're tripping.
for my positions.
Oh, for your short on gold? Yeah, you're right. It was terrible for your short on gold. I would agree with that. I don't think that the short on gold idea is like founded in absolute nonsense, though. I think that there's like a lot of legitimacy to it. Just the timing was a little off, right? So you
Yeah,
were wrong right now, but you know it is what it is.
happens.
And this is kind of the area where we would expect to bounce, right? This is like the area that we launched from. We have a bunch of consolidation that's like right kind of below us. Um,
To be honest, I think we're going long from here because we
yeah, I
were
was about to
above the
say,
news candle.
I think that I'm going to buy some weekly calls, right? I'm going to go long here. Looking for July 17th, 720 calls on QQQ. Yep. Okay. I am in, and we are long.
Bro, that's so bullshit. My
I think
neighbors are
I think I'm gonna
barbecuing
buy just a
outside,
little tiny bit more here.
and the fucking smoke came into my room. It's all cloudy in here.
It's fucking like toxic smoke too. All right. Yep. I'm sitting in my
Rip.
calls. We're just gonna wait a little bit.
First person to
We could.
die while trading.
There's definitely not. You see the death of retail traders all the time. Just go look in free chat on a day where there's heavy volatility and people are trying to trade fucking chop. $720 strike for Friday. So that would be the July 17th. There we go. There we go. Okay. Might get a little bit of resistance as we approach this point of control, because this is where a lot of volume was put in. We do have these big sell blocks here. Um, so just be a little bit cautious as we approach this, right? Not saying that you need to sell out and fucking leave right now. Just saying, right? Be cautious, be aware of what is happening with these longs. If you longed futures, you should probably be trailing your stops at this point, right? Like we entered down here at like 534, right? We've seen a $40 move, so this is probably the point where you should be trailing stops. Maybe keep like a $20 trail, right? Something like that. Um, for my calls, I'm literally just sitting and waiting right now, and I am not doing anything. I'm waiting. Um, Want to see if we can break through this area of resistance. It wouldn't be unrealistic for us to draw down a little bit to maybe like right here. Um, and it also wouldn't be unrealistic for us to sit and consolidate kind of at these levels. You see how it almost perfectly comes up and tests that point of control, and then it comes and tests this liquidity level. So again, wouldn't be unusual to see us consolidate in this area for a few minutes, or potentially like draw down a little bit. And I'm just going to be sitting and waiting for at least for a few minutes in these.
I'm longing US 30 here. Filled at 590.
Lot of strength on Nasdaq today, it seems.
A lot of strength on US 30.
Yeah, I mean, the market as a whole is doing really well. SLS is doing pretty good this morning, back into the 13. So we're down right back into like the bottom of the range that we were trading in, which is nice, right? Considering that we were kind of falling out of the bottom of it. Um, and we had a little bit of worry, but it seems that the market overall is getting a little bit more comfortable with being risk on with that inflation data coming out, solid. BlackBerry climbing back towards 11. Really love to see that. I would love to see us, to be honest with you, I'd really love to see a close that's like 1140 or so. That would be like a really big move for today, but it's not unrealistic. AMD is just continuing to sell off its gains. Not super unusual after a big gap up like that. No, I haven't exited those calls. I'm literally sitting in them. Haven't exited the calls. I'll let you. I'm gonna definitely tell you when I exit the calls. Right now, I'm just waiting because we are getting like some seller absorption here, right, where you can see that the sellers are trying to take this down, and every time it's just getting bought right back up. So this kind of seems like the spring coiling before a launch up, and I'm feeling really positive about these longs here. Very positive. So I'm just kind of hanging out and waiting. Again, like really like the structure of this. We see that we have higher lows, right? We have higher highs, like over the last few minutes, anyways. Obviously, pre-market had a higher high, but you know, feeling pretty good about longs here. Feeling pretty good about these longs here. And just make sure that you are taking risks that are appropriate to you. If you see something
Damn.
that is not fitting in your risk to reward profile, then don't be afraid to cut it, even if I don't. Right? Like we all have different risk tolerances, and we're all playing with different percentages of our portfolio. This is potentially the area where I would expect us to see a little bit of a bounce off of the value area low. Like I said, the drawdown isn't the most unusual thing. We are breaking that support. Let's see if we can
US 30
back.
is still holding up.
Pardon me?
US 30 is still holding up.
No. And just an FYI, we have about 17 minutes before the Fed chair goes and testifies to the Congress
Fuck.
Banking and Budget Committee, right? It's like banking, budget, and housing.
For anyone on US 30, you can go break even here.
AMD is just continuing to sell off those gains from that gap. Anna flipping a little bit red on the day, not super red. It's really, really low volume still. Like this is literally like 1,000 shares from like this opening, right? It had like 8,000 to put it here, and then another 1,000 or so to sell it off another 3 cents. So that just shows you how touchy that thing is to any kind of volume whatsoever.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you entered below 500 or no, below 600 on US 30, you may take profits here or you trail with a $20 distance because we are already $70 deep in profits.
Indy getting a little bit of love here in the morning too. Love to see that. Love to see that. Honeywell doing pretty okay. IMSR, which picked up a tiny little bit of yesterday, is doing all right. Right, it's getting a little bit of love. Nothing super major.
And I am out taking profits here.
Tesla's making a push up right now. Tesla's making a push up.
Everyone, I'm out of US 30. I'm clear.
All right, so we're seeing that tech is like broadly tech is making a little bit of a push, specifically on the hardware side, more so than software. Software has just been getting fucking decimated lately. See if we could break through this area. There's like a pretty clear area of resistance, right? I'll draw this rectangle. You see all these red like boxes. So this area right here is resistance, and so is this value area high. So if we could break through this, then things are going to be looking really good for our long position here on these calls. So that is a nice levered long position. Let's see where we are right now. Those calls are up a casual 6%. So nothing super huge yet, but things are looking good. AMD getting a little bit of a bounce here, which is really interesting. BlackBerry up to 1110, which again, I would love to see us up at like 1140-ish by end of day. Maybe that's a little bit of wishful thinking, but entirely possible, right? Entirely possible. So let's just kind of hang out for a sec, see what happens. Um, Again, right? Expect little drawdowns to find liquidity before ultimately pushing a little bit higher is kind of how I'm feeling right now. Um, just overall sitting and waiting, right? Not too concerned. Indy getting a little bit of love here, 2.18% on the day so far, right? SLS no longer 13, giving back some of those gains a little bit, largely moving in line with the indices. So as the indices kind of draw down, SLS is following. Um, looking for potential bounce in this area. If not, then the next area that I would expect would be down here, the value area low. So let's see what ends up happening. I don't think that we're just going to drill downwards from here. I think that we kind of have a nice little range set up, right, where we have the bottoms. So this might be a decent buying opportunity right around here. If you wanted to get into a NASDAQ or a QQQ long, I think that this would probably be a pretty decent buying opportunity at this price. Looks like we had a little bit of seller absorption here on the 1 minute. The regime is explosive, so we're expecting big moves. Yeah, but I think that all of that is a good area to buy, and it seems like yes, it was a pretty decent area to buy, right? As it turns out, it seems like it was a pretty decent area to buy, at least so far. So let's hang out. Let's see what ends up going on here. W's in the chat. Yeah, we got some nice little call outs so far. Thank you, Icarus, for those. I
Sure,
am just
sure.
absolutely, bro. I am just sitting in my long because I feel pretty good about it coming off of all of that inflation data.
But I've got a serious question for you now.
What?
So I've been talking to someone yesterday, and the person asked me like what warrior is like, and I'm taking this out of the stream and then send it to him. But what happens with the warriors making too much money? Where should they go with it?
What do you mean?
Warriors that make too much money, where should they put it?
What, like what stock? Or
In general.
well, they should probably be long-term investing with the gains, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
Like that's what I would say, is that if you end up making like some big stack of money, man, off of these swing trades and off of these scalps, you should be taking it and investing long term in quality companies, right? Like that is where you're really going to see growth, is by parking money into good assets and just literally fucking off for years and decades. Like that is where you will build true wealth. Okay, you can make good money trading, but the
Yeah.
true wealth comes from investing for the long term. So, these two things are different, but they certainly feed into each other, and they do have some skill sets that kind of overlap a little bit, right? Because you want to be able to fundamentally value a business if you're swing trading, same as long term investing. And if you are long-term investing, you want to be able to find like the right entry points with technicals, right? So trading kind of influences that a little bit and teaches you a bit about it. um, but I would absolutely recommend long-term investing. Like there's nothing quite like it. Casino and hookers, that's not the best way to make money unless you own the casino, or in case you be pimping. So if you be pimping, you can make some money. It's kind of a shitty thing to do. You probably shouldn't do it, but it's something that you can do. You be pimping? Sorry, that's a South Park reference. I fucking love South Park. That's when Butters is a pimp.
We've got quite a lot of people in here today.
Yeah, we do have a decent bit of people. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Would be worth mentioning the other part that is being done right now, no?
Yeah, so I guess that this would be a good time. The official announcement with the link and everything will come soon, but I absolutely can mention it here, which is that uh, the Nasdaq room has partnered with Mumu. So we are partnered with an international broker. Um, Going to have a nice little link that gives you guys some really cool stuff for opening up an account, and it will also uh, using this link right when I release it in probably a day or so. Um, just waiting on their compliance team to make sure that I'm good with what I'm going to post and say, right? Um, but they will pay for 2 months of your Warrior subscription. So, like you can open up an account with your own money. You keep your money. It's not like you're fucking buying an account at a prop firm, right? You're opening an account with your money, and you're going to get a subscription here, as well as access to a bunch of different data, like level 2 data, options data, and then the level 3 data. I think is something that they're working on right now, which should be coming out relatively shortly. So really excited to be working with them and to be working with their platform. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. So keep an eye out on announcements for that, right? Keep an eye out on announcements because opening an account and getting the community access to 2 months of the community to trade it in, to trade, in that account with, that's a pretty good deal, right? It's a pretty good deal. Especially considering that all you have to do is open an account and stick some fucking money in there. Like, you're going to be doing that anyways, right? So, why not use the one that gives you data and access to this community? That only makes sense to me. And it's also like, it's a better deal than prop firms, right? Like, well, you're gonna pay for a simulation. Like, why? When you could just have an account with your own funds and grow it. And even if you think like, oh well, I don't have that much. Well, realize that most of us didn't start with that much, right? Like I started this journey 13 and a half years ago with $300, right? Like is this, you have to be okay with being patient and working towards those goals. um, some people are, they want that immediate gratification, and they're like, oh, but if I get a max payout, fuck all that. Okay. If it's what you want to do, then it's what you want to do. But I would absolutely recommend, also setting some money aside in your own brokerage, and getting to just fucking keep it, and not being, not simulating anything, like actually trading and actually impacting the market, and actually uh, doing this for real, right? Is what I would always recommend that people do and at least try. We were just getting this heavy consolidation. I expected that we would consolidate a little bit. I just didn't expect that we would be doing it this long. Um, there's a lot of liquidity that's being generated with all of this up and down movement. I can almost assure you that there's a lot of people that are just getting chopped out right now because they're way too heavily levered, right? Or they're entering up here at the top and just expecting it to go crazy for them. And then when it draws down, they get liquidated. So then they short because it's at the bottom, and then it bounces up. Like this is hard to just like scalp these candles this way. There's a relatively clear range that could be traded, but I don't have a particular interest in trading it. I think that the ultimate direction is going to be up, considering that we had all this consolidation, right? And then we started to see like an expansion in volatility. You saw this big move as a result of the good inflation data. Watching a lot of assets that are doing pretty well today, right? They're flipping green. We got this little drawdown, and then we've just been heavily consolidating, steadily making higher lows, right? And the highs are kind of all over the place, right? Like just keeps getting kind of stopped as it comes up here. Um, but we could see that there's clearly a lot of buying pressure in this market because anytime that it draws down, it's just getting bought right back up. So we're seeing like a little bit of a compression in price at the moment, and at some point this thing's going to break. And I think that when it does break, it's going to be to the upside. So I'm just sitting and holding my calls. I feel really good about this. Fermi finally getting a little bit of love on the day, right? 3.17% up. Love to see that. Blackberry, nice strong candle there. Nice strong candle. Back up to 1111. AMD kind of continuing to just sell off, right? It seems like that that run was a little short lived. Reddit gapped down and has been climbing. We love Reddit here, so if you're not a Reddit bull, then you're just wrong. Uh, Robinhood 1.5% up on the day. Love to see that. Microsoft kind of bleeding out. That's Yeah, it's par for the course for Microsoft right now. But you know what? I'm long on Microsoft, and I'm gonna keep being fucking long on Microsoft. Yeah, I would love it if QQQ could break the value area high. That'd be fucking sick. That would be fucking sick.
Yeah, I want to get out of this fucking range. This
It would
is.
be it would be so great to
Ugh.
get out of this range. But you know what? Again, right? Like this is one of the things that has to happen, right? This is one of the things that has to happen to generate the liquidity for like the eventual move, right? Like this
Yeah,
is
but
this
this.
is this is where accumulation happens, right? This is how a position gets entered. It can't just be entered with big size that like Wall Street wants right away. Like they have to do this. They have to chop out all
Then,
the people trying to scalp for fucking pennies.
then let him do that in the evening or something.
Oh no, they can't. They can't. They have to do it when there are a bunch of active traders in the market because they
Yeah,
have to
but
take
this is
their money to gate them.
cringing.
It is, dude. This is like literally moving sideways like a fucking crab right now. BlackBerry doing really good, up almost 4.5% on the day now. So love to see that. Fermi getting a nice little bounce, nice little recovery. Would love to see us break out above the body of these two candles, because then we would come up and test that call wall at 7, and passing that call wall at 7 and getting up to like 720 to 730, somewhere in that area, would cause a lot of these calls to begin being hedged once more, and potentially an eventual rip. We are testing the breakout on Nasdaq right now, so this is looking pretty good. Yeah, BlackBerry. If BlackBerry gets up to 1140, that'd be really, really good. That'd be really good for the end of the day. I'm still just holding this Nasdaq long. Like I'm fucking completely unfazed by all this. I've held it through all of this bullshit. Like I can wait a little bit longer. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm 0.5% green right now on my calls. I'm 0.5% green, guys.
Really?
It's fucking
I
funny.
think you're lying.
No, dog, I'm 0.5% green. It's literally, dude, it's fucking 0.5%. Like we want this push to happen. We just got to get through this value area high, and then we got a little bit of resistance that'll be coming in at about like 617, so a little bit higher
What?
than the value area high.
Dude.
Hey, it's okay, Nasdaq. You take your time. We'll just fucking wait on you. Okay, we'll just fucking wait on you.
Nah. I'm gonna push the market up myself if that shit goes on.
Do it. Do it. Do it. Like fucking Emperor Palpatine. Do it. Meta making a nice push after that gap down. I don't know how long that lasts. It seems like everyone is hating Meta because Meta is investing in the future. And to be honest with you, I'm not even like a Meta fan. Like I don't even fucking use Facebook and Instagram, bro. But I just think that, if you think it's funny because people always kind of point to um like VR, right? People always point to the VR metaverse, and they're like, "Oh, well, Meta ruined that, and they didn't do well with it." And I would agree, right? Like that was a kind of a stupid idea. Like it's something that, in reality, like it should have been known that it's just kind of a novelty, right? It was like buying fucking Oculus. Um, but I don't think that Meta is a poorly run company. I think that it's very well run. I think that it's an evil fucking company, right? And it does a lot of really shady things. I think that social media maybe hasn't been the healthiest thing for humans, but we're not here to debate about the morals of it. We're here to talk about, do they make money? And yes, Meta makes a fucking ludicrous amount of money, right? So it's funny to see everybody when it's literally one of the largest companies in the world, and it's gotten there from absolutely fucking nowhere, and people still doubt it, right? They still doubt the management, and they doubt the Zuck. They doubt the Zuck. And that's fair, right? He's a little bit of a fucking weirdo, right? He might be a lizard. I don't know that for sure. So, I'm not saying for sure that he's a lizard, but we've heard the rumors, right? We've heard rumors that he's a lizard. Just kidding. No, but I think that Meta, like, over the long run, I think it's going to do really well. We were talking about it being a value play, like when it was consolidating here and down here and here. I still think it is. Just like I still think that Microsoft Microsoft's like a fucking screaming buy here. It's just going to take some time, right? It's such a big company and such a big market cap that it takes a lot of capital inflow to actually move that thing.
So, I've been
Never
working
ending rage.
on Jarvis a little, and I gave it access to my MetaTrader 5 terminal and all that. And it's able to read the heat map. The first target it said right now is 484, and if that breaks, it's 423.
For Nasdaq.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, it's close to 484 right now. If we break out of the bottom of this range, then that's probably going to be where I exit my calls,
because
and it would be at a loss. But we'll see.
the the initial setup he called out was dipping above the value area high, returning back into the range, breaking below point of control, and then 484.
Yeah, and
So
that's
that's
entirely
pretty
possible.
crazy.
Like it's already been to 486, so
Shit.
yeah, Meta does throw every dart that they're able to. Okay.
Jesus. If this goes on, I can get Jarvis to take my job here. What the fuck?
Okay. I am going to. I think I'm going to exit these calls here. Ah, we'll see. Give it a second. Give it a second. I'll say there's a part of me that kind of wants to hedge it too and just hold the calls and hedge it by shorting Nasdaq futures, but I don't really want to short down at the bottom after buying up here. So we'll see what ends up happening. I'm gonna wait a sec. I said that I was gonna do it when I broke down under the bottom of the range, but I'm gonna wait a sec, especially given that big wick that just happened on that candle. We'll be patient here. Oh shit, W's Nitrom. You got this shit, brother. You got this shit. Reddit doing really good. AMD's just fucking selling off. That's crazy. I don't have a position in AMD. I'm just watching it because it had such a big gap up that it was really interesting to watch.
No, but I'm really surprised.
At what?
The sheer accuracy.
Yeah. I'm not that surprised.
Why?
Look at what it's been taught, right? Look at what it's been learning. Like I would hope that it understands a little bit about fucking market dynamics by now.
Yeah, but you gotta realize, like,
But yeah,
it
this
knows
it
the
is time for
strategy
Worst to
for a
talk.
day.
Okay. Oh, that's what we need right there.
Oh boy.
All right. All right. So we got the drinking game going here. We got the drinking game going here. Every time he says task force, right? He looks like a wrinkly child. Oh, come on. Sorry, I'm just trying to get to where we currently are. There we go. All right, we're at the present now. This is live. It's every Fed chair, right? Every Fed chair when they talk things instantly they fucking enter literally the field of view of the camera and things just fucking bleh. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Garrick, but that's okay. Agreed. Not sure what he's supposed to do about that, but yeah. Enough fucking grandstanding. You seem to be finding some support here.
There it is. There was the first task force.
All right, guys, take a shot. Fucking, they said task force. Take a shot. That'd be a fun game. You'd be fucking useless at the end of these. Oh, that's two. That's three. I'm gonna cut these calls. It's just it's getting ugly. And there's a good shot that it ends up coming back later in the day, but that doesn't help us right now. All right, I'm out of the calls. Gross. Gross, gross, gross. I'm also going to cut Anna here because it just. Hmm. If we could draw down below this, that'll probably be a pretty good short. This thing's just kind of lightly tracing up. See, that's what we've been talking about. Insane. What is this doing? Just like slowly kind of drawing up. Today's a fucking wonky day. I've had a lot of crazy days lately. Kind of a wonky day. Just broke value area low. Nasdaq potentially breaking out here. Might be a good decent time to long some NQ futures and scalp real quick. Yeah, I'm gonna scalp a tiny bit. Hmm. Okay. I am in very small long. Very small long on futures. Nothing huge. Uh, Options are an option. I don't know that I would here just because, it's gonna be moving like, those prices are gonna be moving quick as fuck. And again, guys, make sure that if you are long on those futures that you have a stop there. Yeah, BlackBerry is being very resilient today. Okay, so question, when when this stream, like, ends, do you guys want me to keep this speech going? Like, keep the stream going and keep the speech on, even if we're not doing anything? I'll just keep, like, the chart and this, conversation on. Like, up to you guys, just tell me, right? I can keep it running.
I think most people are dipping anyway.
It's yeah, it's kinda, I mean, it's the time, right? And now we're getting, like, this weird volatility, like, it okay, okay. I can keep it open for you, radio. Dude, I swear to God, dude, it's gonna fucking happen too. The thing we were waiting on this whole time, it's gonna happen the second stream ends, right? So, the second that I walk away to go get breakfast, it's gonna fucking just go nuts. Also today, I am going to be on the daily stack again. So, when we are going live there, I'll be sure to share a link, and, we'll get going from there. Have some interesting stuff to talk about. Alright, guys. Well, I think that I am gonna step away. I'm gonna keep this speech, this testimony going. Got about 2 hours before, um yeah, I got about 2 hours before, um, the daily stack, so Oh, to go get a little bit of food in my system before I go do that. But I'll leave this chart on and I'll leave the testimony on, and we will see what happens from there. Dude, I swear to God, this fucking thing pumps. Okay. But yeah, I'm gonna leave this up for you guys. So if you need anything, just shoot me a ping. I'll be around.
All right, I'm at dip now.
Yeah, kind of have whatever today. We'll see if this gives us some good action later in the week, right? I'm feeling pretty good about the rest of this week, though. All right, guys, I'll catch you in just a bit.
All right,
See
see
ya.
ya.